Would you have the courage to leave your mother at just 12 years old? Not for school, not out of rebellion, but to chase a fragile dream in a city more than 600 miles from home. A dream so distant, no one in the neighborhood believed it was real. Cristiano Ronaldo. Today, he's a global icon, a living legend, worshipped by millions, with hundreds of trophies and records that seem untouchable. But few know, it all began not on a soccer field, but on a quiet night on Madeira Island. The night before he left behind his mother, his childhood, and everything familiar. Ronaldo was born in a place where dreams were often crushed by reality. Funchal, the capital of Madeira, is as picturesque as a postcard, but life there wasn't so romantic. His family was poor, deeply poor. His father, Dinas, worked as a groundskeeper at a local soccer field, a quiet gentleman, always carrying the smell of alcohol in his breath. His mother, Dolores, did whatever she could, cleaning houses, washing dishes, cooking in restaurants. At one point, she even considered abortion, thinking they couldn't afford another child. But she chose to keep him, the youngest, Cristiano. Dinner at the Ronaldo home was often nothing more than potatoes, white beans, and dry bread. Soccer cleats were a luxury. Ronaldo played barefoot or in hand-me-down shoes from the kids in the neighborhood. And yet, he stood out. Ronaldo wasn't born a prodigy. No one called him a wonder kid. But he had something no one could ignore: speed and a fighter spirit. When he ran across a dusty pitch, people felt like a gust of wind had blown through. He didn't play for fun. He played like it was his only way out of poverty. His mother once said, "Cristiano doesn't play soccer, he lives through it." And even as a boy, he knew, if he wanted to change his fate, he had to run faster, kick harder, and train more than any other kid. Then came his first real chance. A scout from Sporting Lisbon happened to be watching a local game. He saw a skinny kid with sunburned skin, zipping through defenders like a tornado, scoring goal after goal. Weeks later, a letter arrived at the Ronaldo home. Sporting Lisbon wanted Cristiano to join their academy, a professional training program. For most kids, that would be a dream come true. But for Ronaldo, it was a shock. Sporting didn't have a branch on Madeira Island. To attend, he'd have to leave, fly to Lisbon, over 600 miles away. No family, no friends, just himself. He was only 12 years old, and he had to choose. It was the first and biggest decision of his life. And for his mother, the most heartbreaking. Dolores read the letter in silence, then folded it shut. She knew if she kept him home, he'd forever be just a poor kid kicking a ball around the village. But if she let him go, she'd be letting go of her baby far too soon. That evening, she didn't cook anything special. Just plain rice, steamed vegetables, and a bowl of beans. But the lump in their throats made it hard to swallow anything. And then came Ronaldo's final night on Madeira. A night where time seemed to pause. Only the sound of waves in the distance, the breeze rolling off the sea, and a mother and son sitting side by side, too full of emotion to say a word. That night, his last on Madeira, young Ronaldo sat silently on the balcony, staring out toward the sea. He didn't speak, didn't cry, didn't smile. His eyes stayed fixed on the horizon, where the sky met the waves in a hazy blur of gray-blue. Behind him stood his mother, Dolores, quietly watching her son. She said nothing. She didn't want to break that moment, because she knew this would be the last time she'd ever see him as just a little boy. As dawn approached, she whispered one thing: "Be strong, and never forget who you are." Ronaldo turned around and hugged her, tighter than ever before. But still no words. His eyes were misty, but he fought the tears. He was afraid she'd lose her strength, and even more afraid that he would too. The next morning, the small bus station was crowded with people coming and going. But for Ronaldo, the world had shrunk down to just one person: his mother. One small suitcase, a worn-out canvas bag slung over his shoulder, and a heart pounding with fear and hope. The bus pulled away. He turned his head back. His mother was still there, hand waving, eyes locked on him. This time, the tears came. Unstoppable. Not dramatic, just human. A child breaking, quietly, in the face of goodbye. Later he would recall, "I cried a lot that night. I was scared. I missed my mom. But I knew I had to go." Lisbon, the grand, shining capital, welcomed the 12-year-old boy with coldness. No one was waiting for him at the airport. A young coach drove him to the training dorm. A stiff single bed, a thin blanket. No voice calling him to dinner. No one asking how his day went. No arms to hold him. Just a boy from a distant island curled into himself in the dark, hearing the sound of his own tears echo in his chest. His first day at school, he was laughed at. His Madeira accent stood out, rural, rough, out of place in the capital. He felt like an alien dropped into the middle of a soccer planet where everyone knew how to survive except him. No close friends, no one to confide in. He began writing letters home each week. Most were never sent, because he knew if his mother read the pain in those pages, it would break her heart. And if she told him to come home, he would, and he'd fall apart. So Ronaldo chose silence. He didn't talk much, didn't make many friends, didn't play around like the other boys. He did just one thing. He trained. After official practice ended, Ronaldo stayed on the field for hours. He ran laps, took hundreds of shots. At night, when others slept, he did push-ups alone until his arms trembled. He grew thinner, but his eyes lit up more each day. One coach at the academy later said, "That boy had nothing but willpower. He didn't need to be pushed, didn't need to be watched. He trained like playing football was the only way to stay alive." Ronaldo turned homesickness into drive, loneliness into fuel. Every tear he shed on his last night in Madeira became another powerful step on the pitch. Eventually, no one laughed at his island accent anymore, because when he scored, when he outran 3-4 defenders in seconds, the only sound left in the stadium was applause. That 12-year-old boy was quietly growing up, alone, without noise, without comfort, but with a heart on fire. Time passed, and the lonely boy slowly faded away. In his place stood a young man, faster, stronger, more determined than ever. Ronaldo began earning his spot on Sporting Lisbon's starting lineup. Soon he was playing for the club's top youth team. Coaches started to notice. Scouts started writing his name down. But for Ronaldo, none of that meant anything yet. He kept to his old habits, training harder, running longer, and speaking less. Because one sentence still echoed in his mind. His mother's words on that final night in Madeira: "Be strong and never forget who you are." Then one day it happened. A friendly match, that would change everything. Sporting Lisbon versus Manchester United, one of England's top clubs. In the stands sat Sir Alex Ferguson, the legendary manager. Ronaldo was 18, and that day he was lightning. He blew past defenders with impossible speed, controlled the ball like it was a part of him. The Man U players were stunned. Sir Alex couldn't take his eyes off him. Right after the match, he walked into Sporting Lisbon's locker room and said, "Son, how would you like to come to England?" A few months later, Cristiano Ronaldo officially signed with Manchester United, and a legend was born. From a poor, unknown island boy, Ronaldo became a name the whole world knew. He scored goals, won the Ballon d'Or,